You guys, I want to introduce to you my skincare expert, Natalia Castille. Everyone wants to know how in the world do I have the most gorgeous, beautiful skin? Yeah, thank you very much. I know. And it is because of her. Natalia Castille is my go-to skincare specialist. She takes care of me. And I'm telling you, you guys will love her. You will find her at the ACPS. It is the Aesthetic Center for Plastic Surgery. And if you really, really want to know more about them, you can visit them at their website, ACPS Plastic Surgery. It is a med spa that I love to go to. It's so easy just calling in and say, I need to set up an appointment for my facial with Natalia. And they take care of me immediately, in and out. They take care of skin rejuvenation. They do something called derma infusion. They do cool sculpting, and Natalia does all of that. She's also taking care of my laser needs. Like, she does laser reduction for me, and I swear to you, people say, oh, it's painful. She makes it so painless. Love, love, love her. So if you need to find out more about how you can get great skin, follow her at her Instagram, Natalia Castille, at Natalia Castille. You will not regret it. I will give you guys all the details, and she will take care of you. I promise you, she will do a great job for your skin. You will not regret it, and you will have the best skin of 2022. Everybody, thank you for being here at the new and improved Vibes by Alicia podcast. We are in season 7. We are so excited to share with you all of the new things that are coming. We have a community of listeners. We have a community of travelers coming along, people who are interested in business, lifestyle, and fashion. All of those things we are here to talk about. And today, the topic for today is travel. And the topic particularly that we're going to be reaching out to talk about today is the travel restrictions. We're going to be talking about the removal of the mask mandate. We're going to be talking about whether or not there's going to be a need for a vaccine passport, for example, and then the expected travel limitations or, I guess, restrictions in other countries. For example, in Europe, they're very different from America. So we're going to talk about those things today. I hope you all get some good information. We really do like giving you all as much education and information that we can, especially since we do love to travel. A lot of times we really don't like the restrictions. And for us, for Rusk and myself, who's here today,
hello,
we definitely are excited that there's no more mask mandate on the planes. So as of April 19th, the U.S. will no longer enforce mask mandate on airplanes, trains after the court ruling. The Biden administration will no longer enforce a U.S. mask mandate on public transportation after a federal judge in Florida on Monday ruled that the 14-month-old directive was unlawful, overturning a key White House effort to reduce the spread of COVID. I mean, we get it. We're vaccinated. We have our vaccine card, but I think the mask mandate on the plane was just
it's just not consistent.
Annoying to me.
It's just it absolutely was annoying. One, they tell you that when you get on the plane that 99% of the air recirculated every 2 or 3 minutes through these sophisticated HEPA filters. But there are other situations in society where masks are not required in mass gatherings, particularly at sporting events or music concerts, and it's just not consistent across the board. And so you don't really know when you're supposed to wear a mask, when you're not supposed to wear a mask.
And I don't think most people are even wearing them correctly.
They're not even wearing them correctly, and it's not. Yeah. What we learned over the last 2 years is that the masks weren't as effective as originally thought.
So what I want to know is from you listeners: are you all excited that the mask mandate on the planes is gone? We've been traveling. When we traveled since they opened traveling back up in 2020, we were one of those people that were on those airplanes, literally almost empty sometimes because, a lot of people weren't traveling, but we were out. We needed to go. And I remember feeling safe, feeling good back in 2020. But now in 2022, it just feels silly to be wearing it.
It does. And it's like what I had mentioned before. It's you go to a sporting event and the coaches have masks, but the players don't. The fans standing behind the coaches don't have masks. It's just not a consistent, it's who should wear a mask and who shouldn't wear a mask. It's almost like it's a joke now. Nobody should be taking it seriously.
From what I've read, a lot of the flight attendants are happy.
Yeah, of course I don't blame them. They have a stressful job to begin with in a very kind of not very friendly environment. And then on top of that, you get frustrated people that just think, they're political. Some of it, they just think their liberties are being suppressed, and the others are just tired of wearing masks. They have a hard time breathing. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun.
And I think we're in the second category. I don't think we don't feel like we're being oppressed or that our liberties are being taken. I think it's just uncomfortable for us.
Uncomfortable. You can't breathe on the plane. And they keep tapping you on the shoulder to put it above your nose, and you passed out on the flight, and they wake you up, and it's just really
and a lot of people were arguing and fighting over them. It was just kind of silly just to kind of keep them going. Another thing that's happening this summer and a trend that's coming up is maybe something like having a travel passport and a vaccine passport.
Right.
So what do you think about that? Do you think vaccine passports will be something that's going to be in the future?
That cannot come fast enough. I mean, we do have the little COVID cards.
Yeah,
but
we
if
do.
There's
take
something
them.
more official to where I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later, where you don't have to get a COVID test to come back to the United States or really travel anywhere for that matter. But I know that's country for country, and other countries have different healthcare resources and availabilities. In the case that COVID was to kind of take a resurgence in their country. But in the United States, if you're vaccinated and you got a booster shot, in Europe, they're doing the vaccine cards, the vaccine passports. If you're a European citizen and you're traveling to Paris or to London back home, you're not required to get a COVID test. And I don't understand why in a similar country, or in this case, similar continent, with the same industrial, economic know-how and healthcare abilities, that it's okay for one and not okay for the other. It's really frustrating.
So the other thing that I wanted to mention was that, the United States is also only requiring that you have 24 hours before getting a COVID test. So usually they say, 24 to 48 hours before traveling, before coming back into the U.S. to have a COVID test. And we've been to several places where we've had to take a COVID test at the hotel. It has to come back negative before we can, actually head to the airport.
Yeah,
that's been a few times that we've had that happen to us.
The other thing, it's frustrating. We had just come back from the Azores, and this was on the way there. And in the Azores, it required a COVID test, and it said it on the airline was sending you emails, the hotels were sending you emails. They all referred you to the government website in the Azores, and it says you must have a COVID test. So we got COVID tests when we came before we had departed to the Azores. Nobody checked in Houston. Nobody checked in Boston, where we made a change of planes, and nobody checked in customs or immigration in the Azores. We spent $119 per test, and nobody was checking to see if you were actually getting the test. So coming back, we knew that we needed a test coming back to the United States, but it's one of those things where you just kind of paid money to have a test done, and now you're thinking you're a U.S. citizen, you have the vaccines, you have the booster shot, you've done everything society has asked you to do, and then you have to get a COVID test to come back. So we didn't get a COVID test when we were out there in the Azores. So when we were boarding the plane, the gate agent says, "Where's your COVID test?" So I just decided to show the COVID test that we had taken out here, and she goes, "No, you got to have one coming back." And luckily for us, the airport had a COVID test at the airport. So we got one done real quick. It was a 15, 20-minute turnaround. But nonetheless, it's still kind of, the rules aren't consistent. It's almost like who you get at the gate, who wants to check, who doesn't want to look. It's what day of the week it is.
So that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people aren't traveling, is because they don't want to risk the idea that they have to stay in that country any longer.
Right.
I think one of my friends, Katia, said it took her 14 days until they were able to get her a negative test for her to get back from Brazil to the United States. So that's a risk that you're taking, basically, and that's a risk that we take every single time we travel, because if there's a risk that we're positive, we can't board the plane. And that means that we have to stay behind and we have to wait until we get a negative before we can board the plane. And that means you have to rearrange hotel. That means you have to rearrange flight schedules. We have our kids at home, so we have to rearrange babysitting for them, or maybe not babysitting, but
for some parents,
people and some parents, if their kids are still here, what's going to happen to that? Their school activities, all of those things have to be rescheduled. So it really is a risk when you're traveling that you don't get a positive test getting back into the U.S. And that's a detriment. And I think that's one of the reasons why some people won't travel.
It's why the travel industry in general hasn't rebounded to the level it was pre-pandemic. Is those inconveniences and also the risks that are associated with traveling with COVID. And different lobbying organizations and travel associations and the airlines have been lobbying hard to have those restrictions removed. Because science is kind of now proving that it's not really in those confined environments that COVID was really spreading. So I don't know. That stuff's always a fluid situation. Find out 10 years down the road that none of that stuff was accurate, and we actually know less than we think we know.
So I want to know from you all too. I mean, are you all excited about the lifting of the mask mandate and the COVID test? I think that's probably the next thing that's going to go. I think I really believe that's going to be the thing that goes, because they keep asking you if you're vaccinated. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, have you all encountered trips where you can't go into a restaurant without showing your vaccine card? We have that happen here all the time.
It was the most
in Canada. The most,
but it wasn't consistent there either. Some of them wanted to see, they wanted details of your vaccine cards, the date and the time, and some of the hostess or the restaurant manager simply just looked at it, skimmed. So, it's a matter of enforcement, but it's got to have it, unfortunately. And I don't mind as long as you got vaccinated. I think that you should have a little more liberties than the folks that haven't been vaccinated in terms of traveling, especially when going on a plane and coming back to the United States or traveling to another country.
So let me ask you this, Rusk. I know that you like to plan ahead for your summer travels. How far ahead do you recommend that people start planning for like a summer vacation?
Well, it depends on where you want to go. The more exotic place you want to go, the ones in the peak season. For example, we were looking at going into Bora Bora over June and July, and it's not looking good out there. A lot of availability is, and this is their winter, and a lot of availability is kind of scarce in the planes. The seats weren't very good. There's limited flights. The hotels most of them were booked. But, you could probably go to somewhere like the Grand Cayman from Houston nonstop. It's one of the more recent destinations that have popped up besides Puerto Rico and the Dominican, and I think it's Aruba or Antigua, one of those two. And
how should they go about booking?
You can probably do that. I recommend usually 3 weeks ahead of time.
Okay.
No less than 3, because airlines typically do 21, 14, and 7-day and less than 7-day fares. So if you book 2 months ahead of time, you're probably not getting a much better deal than booking 21 days ahead of time. If you book within 21 days, then typically the price goes up. Their fares are adjusted to how many days you're going in advance. It all depends on where you want to go. I mean, there's some destinations you really got to plan, months ahead of time, and there's some destinations that you can hop on a plane depending on what your budget is, and you can probably find something like going to Cabo or to go into Cancun. Find plenty of availability anywhere, just about any weekend.
Yeah, I think Mexico is probably one of the easiest places to travel to during these times.
You could probably do that within 7 days if you don't mind paying extra for not buying an advance purchase ticket.
Punta Cana, República Dominicana has also made it very easy.
But United Airlines is not completely fully rebounded to all Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico destinations as it was. There's only 4 or 5 now that I had mentioned that I had seen the other day. They have not returned to a lot of the far eastern and southeastern Caribbean islands like they used to in the past. So that'll probably take some time. The only path to getting to those places is lessening of the COVID restrictions across the board, going to and coming from.
Right.
Once people kind of become comfortable with that and realize that the risks are no longer being pushed down travelers' throats, get a positive test out there that you can't come back, then that's going to take some time. I don't think that'll be this year.
My friends, I want to introduce to you the Vanguard Agency. They are fit for Texas. They are in the business of helping people to save money. For all of insurance needs, the Vanguard Agency cannot wait to work with you. Get a quote for your home, get a quote for your auto, a quote for your business and restaurant. They are ready to shop your insurance policies with top-rated insurance companies. Go see my friend Humberto Garcia. He's been in the business a long time and makes an effort to make your insurance policy needs as seamless as possible for all of you. Tell him you heard about them here when you call him at 281-453-8770. They speak Spanish, and I know they will take care of you. Friends, I must tell you, I know the place to go if you need house audio, TV installation, security monitoring. I am telling you, these people are so, so good that I cannot wait to share them with you. AVS Concepts is the place to get all of these things taken care of. They're the experts in audio video. If you are entertaining and you need music, call them. If you just purchased a new house and you want to have security, you've got to call them. They are the best at all of this for you. I am so excited to share them with you. They are new sponsors for the podcast. You will not regret having them in your house. They can put anything up and create the most amazing surround sound. I am telling you, when I watch my movies, I like to watch them with surround sound. And thanks to AVS Concepts, I can do that. Follow them at their Instagram account, AVSC_HTX, or you can also find them at their website, avcschouston.com, and tell them that Alicia from Buy My Alicia sent you, and they will take care of you. I promise you. You know, and I wonder if there's people who were not even deterred by all of these restrictions like we were. Like we weren't deterred to travel by all the restrictions.
Yeah.
We just found them to be, time consuming and a little bit of a burden.
Yeah.
But something that we were willing to do and to take on because we wanted to travel.
We wanted to travel, and there was nothing else for us to do.
Yeah.
The world kind of shut down, and we had to get out of that's kind of who we are. But, that's not everybody. Other people, they hunker down, and they had a different outlook and perspective and a different level of tolerance for, the pandemic. So there's not a right or wrong. It's based on what you want. And I think the other thing that we talked about this morning or the other day when we were talking about the mask mandate, I remember telling you, I said, if it's something you want to keep doing and it makes you happy and feel safer and more comfortable to wear the mask, then do it. It should be up to you. It should be what you want to do. If I don't feel comfortable wearing it and I really don't want to wear it, then I don't have to. I really shouldn't have to. But again, it's personal preference. You still see people walking to the grocery store, to a convenience store with a mask on, and you still see drivers with masks on in their cars. Yeah. Walking, so it's all...
Yeah. There's no shame behind that.
Right, it's no shame behind
at all whatsoever. But if you all have any questions for us and want to know a little bit more about all of these travel restrictions that we faced, I will tell you we have definitely faced them all. We were in Brazil when COVID happened, and we were literally, I think, we cut our trip short by 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days because flights started canceling flights from other South American destinations, Argentina, Colombia, Peru. I was kind of keeping an eye on it from Chile. And one flight after another on United Airlines and American through Miami was being chopped off the radar. So it's we thought we were next, and we didn't want to get stuck out there because they were, you were hearing stuff on the news that prepare to hunker down. The president was calling everybody back to the country back then, and so we got on a plane. And, we weren't unrealistic about it. We weren't, to the point where we were reckless. We decided that we can always come back to Brazil another day.
That's right. I think that's the key in this segment is that you take these travel restrictions, you take these mandates, whatever, if it's the mask, if it's the COVID test, if it's the vaccination card, if it's whatever it is and how it applies to you and your lifestyle and what you are willing to put up with and the things that you're not willing to put up with. And if you feel like, this whole COVID test is just a scam, then don't take the COVID test and don't go anywhere if you feel like it's not for you and it's not something you want to do. I think the important thing that we want to stress in this is that you make that decision for yourself and you make it for your family and you decide whether you are going to take the risk and go or not take the risk and not go anywhere and see what happens. basically. And I think that's what we've done ourselves. We've taken the risk. We said, okay, this is what we are willing to live with and not live with. Thankfully, we've been safe this whole time since we started traveling again in 2020. They literally opened in June and we were on a plane in June of 2020. So I can tell you that we do have experience on all of those restrictions, those COVID cards, those vaccination cards, those masks. We've gone through them, and we've gone through them in different countries also.
Right. Every country has its own rules.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised if you are required to pay for a PCR or antigen test back home. And
so can you talk about the test that we take? Because people ask us which ones we take.
The majority of the test that has been required is the PCR test. It's the I don't remember the entire medical name for the test, but it's the more thorough of the two tests. The antigen test, from my understanding, is that it just tests for antibodies if you've had COVID in the past. And that kind of gives you a green light that the chances of you having COVID again is not likely, because science kind of tells us the antibodies are a better preventative measure than a vaccine is. I'm not 100% sure. That's what I've read. Not a doctor.
Right.
Take my word for it. Do your own research.
So consult your doctor.
But the PCR test is the one that actually determines if you are positive or negative with COVID at that particular moment in time. And those are the ones that private organizations or private companies are charging for. I've seen them as cheap as $99 and as high as $150 up to $160. We usually use adlhealth.com, and that's through United Airlines. They give you a discount for $119. Regular price is $159. I think I saw it at $169 at some point. And when you book your airline tickets, and if you use United Airlines, there's a link that through ADL Health, and it's a real simple process. You create a login information, and you purchase the test. They'll ship it to wherever you want to ship to, literally overnight. And then you want to ship it back within 72 hours of your flight. But don't ship it back for the 72 hours, or don't activate the account, activate the test online until it's within 72 hours of your departing time. So if you are leaving, let's say, from Houston to Paris, and your flight leaves at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, don't activate at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Outside of those 72 hours, activate it within the 4 o'clock. So that means you ship it back the same day that you're activating it. They usually get it the next day. You get your results back in 4 to 5 hours in the afternoon. It always arrives in their office before 10 a.m. of the following day. It's always next day air.
And they upload it to the web.
Right. They'll send you an email, and then you have to upload it to your United app. But even if you don't use the United app and you're doing the old-fashioned boarding pass, printing it on a printer and taking it to the airport, then you just do the same thing. You print out your results and just take that with you too with the boarding pass.
In closing, I think, again, I just want to reinforce that it is a personal decision. It's up to you whether you want to keep wearing the mask, if you want to wear it. The beauty of this country is that we have that choice in that sense that, if you want to get on a plane and it's not mandated, but you still want to keep wearing your mask, you should most definitely do it. If you're compromised by some, reason that you have a medical issue, please use it. I know that my parents just went on a cruise, and they're both older. They're in their 70s. So definitely their masks were super important. I think for anybody and for everyone, if you want to keep yourself safe, just do it and just use it. But don't shame anyone who doesn't do it, and don't shame them for doing it. I think it's really sad if you take it upon yourself to shame anybody and make them feel like shit for just, wanting to do what makes them feel better and more comfortable. I think the key and the one thing that we love about travel is because it is an adventure. It is fun. It is new. You're going somewhere interesting, somewhere different, something.
And you're learning.
And so the idea that you're going and you're scared and you're afraid, it shouldn't be that way. Don't travel scared. Don't travel afraid of anything. The whole point of traveling is to explore and to see something new and to feel excited about something.
I think it's worth the risk, but I just want to add that I actually hope that they don't take the sanitation wipes off the planes. I actually like those sanitation wipes.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because I think those wipes, if you wipe down your tray table in front of you, or you wipe down your armrest or the seat in front of you, I think there's a greater likelihood of you not getting COVID by doing that than the mask, and then the masks can do for you in terms of preventing
the wipes.
Right. Because engineers, aeronautical engineers have come out that the air does recirculate itself. They do have intense filters on these planes. They've had them actually before COVID. So I don't think that's ever the case. I think most of the time when you do get a cold or a flu from the plane is because you touched something and then you touched yourself afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get most of the germs. And I remember when I was in the auto repair business, I had a cold many years ago, and I had a doctor had walk in there, and he gave me the most basic common sense advice that your mom and dad used to tell you when you were a kid. He says, wash your hands all day long because you're shaking hands all day long. And it's the chance of somebody sneezing on you and you getting sick is not likely because most people are respective and they look away from you when they sneeze or they sneeze into their arm. Not that that's 100% proof, but nothing is 100% proof. Right. But I think the fact that when you shake somebody's hands and you inadvertently or subconsciously touch your nose or your mouth or you grab your cup or something like that and then you drink, I think that's a greater likelihood. So I hope the sanitation wipes stay on the planes.
And if anything, we can buy sanitation wipes and take them with us.
Yeah, of course, that too.
It's one of those things that you learn to pack in. Yeah. I think one of the things that we've learned to pack is a sanitizer. Right. So those are things that you can definitely take on with you as you do a little travel pack.
I agree because I think that's the best way to prevent.
So everyone, I'm really excited that you're here. Season 7, it's a little bit different. It's a new format. We are excited to come and share just a little bit of a few changes. Some episodes will be longer than others. Some will be shorter. Some will be filled with an interview or conversation. Some will be more informational. It's just we're trying to adapt to different needs and wants from everyone. And we're in a new studio, by the way. If you are online, go to my website or go to Advice by Alicia on my Instagram, and you will see that we are in a new studio. We just built our own studio, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. And then you can also let us know if you're open to, creating community with us, if you want to take one of the classes, or if you want to create content with us. Those are 3 things that we're doing, and it's new and it's fresh and it's amazing. And so thank you for being here today, Russ. I really love having you. And thank you for bringing the wine like you always do. What did you bring for us today? You didn't tell us what you brought for us.
I forgot. I brought a 2018 Riesling. This is actually a wine that Thomas Jefferson drank.
Oh, really?
When he had visited Europe in the 1780s on his trip as a Secretary of State, as a Secretary of State when he visited France, and there's this whole wine tour that he had taken across the entire southern seaboard of France, which is mostly Bordeaux, which is south of France wine region, up through Burgundy. He made it all the way up to Alsace, which is northeast France, into German wine country. And I think he may even ventured off a little bit into Austria. I may be wrong about that, but I know he went to Alsace and then into Baden, Pfalz. And so he was not only a lover of French wine, but he was also a lover of German white wine. Wow. So today what we brought was a 2018 Schloss Johannesburg, and it's a VDP, which is a prestigious organization of German winemakers of the best Rieslings they make in Germany. You have to make a certain quality, and they determine who fits that quality, who doesn't. So we're drinking Thomas Jefferson's favorite wine from 250 years ago, and they're still making it today.
I love that. Yeah. It was really, really good. It was really special for like a spring day like today.
I said 250. I meant 230 years ago, but you guys can do the math.
No,
it was a long time ago, and
the
producers are still making the wine. That's the most important part.
It was amazing. Right. So yeah, thank you for being my guest today.
Yep.
If you have any questions or want to know more information, you know how to reach me. You can go to my Instagram Advice by Alicia, or you can also at my personal at _Alicia E. And Mr. E, love you. Thank you.
Yep.
Y'all, nothing beats a healthier ride than a 45-minute spin class at CycleBar West U. Y'all know I've been on a journey of health and wellness. My doctor recommended that I do cardio to improve my blood pressure. It's been high and I have hypertension, and nothing has worked better than the CycleBar West U class. I'm telling you, CycleBar has the smart bikes. They will calculate your distance and your calories. The music's great. The vibe is great. The lighting is amazing. And the trainers really want to make you have that amazing experience. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but if you wanted to, you can ask for your favorite workout songs. They want this to be about you. They want you to have the best experience possible. And by the way, I am letting you know now that they have a new Rider 3-pack for only $49. Amazing. You find them at 3233 Southwest Freeway, or you can also reach out to them at 713-677-0477. And their email is westu@cyclebar.com. Ask for Guillermo. He's going to take care of you. If you don't do anything else for the rest of the day and you do the CycleBar West U class, I'm telling you, you're going to walk out and you're going to feel like a badass.